I have a real special one for you here. You're about to catch a conversation between myself and my friend John Mediana. John is the founder of Executive Brand Growth, where his team helps entrepreneurs be seen, heard, and understood as industry leaders. He's worked with Think Media, Benji Travis, Sean Cannell, VaynerMedia, MGM Grand, Amazon, Huawei, Kodak, Revlon, and a bunch of other brands. He's also a husband and a father and a man of faith. We shared a real heart-to-heart in this conversation about the value of your name, your brand, having big visions and plans, and the importance of mentorship. So I hope you're encouraged by this real talk between me and my friend John. And with that, let's jump into this conversation. Let's go. So excited to be with you, dude. I've been a huge fan, learning so much from you, man. So for everybody out there, who is John? What is this thing that you've built called Executive Brand Growth? And tell us a little bit about that before we jump into some deep questions
Man.
here.
Well, first of all, Rob, thanks for having me here, bro. It's been a long time that, and we finally have the time to connect and stuff. So I'm so excited to just hang out and chill with you and learn and grow and all that stuff. So basically, my name is John Mediana. I've been doing filmmaking, storytelling, photography for over 15 years, worked with a lot of companies. I born and raised in LA. So I just drove straight into creativity, right? When I came out the womb, I held the camera. I was like, hey, I'm here. So being raised in that, you learn a lot and you have a lot of connections, and everyone comes to LA, to start a career in the industry when it comes to, movies and all that stuff. So I grew up loving film. I grew up loving storytelling. I grew up like understanding how much storytelling affects me and the lens that I like see life. And I started at a young age, and with creativity, picking up my first camera when I was like 10, 11 years old, and started with film in the dark room with photography, and that translated into video. And I grew up in a weird place because like I grew up in LA, but also the punk rock scene was happening and also the hip hop like scene was happening at the same time. So I'm kind of like, even right now, I'm like, oh man, all hip hopped out. But I grew up in this skating kind of culture where everything was like art and culture was rising up. MTV was blowing up, and like I had tons of just people I looked up to because it was so against the grain with my culture. I grew up in a Filipino home, and a lot of my relatives, the Asian background, you got to be a doctor, you got to be a nurse, you got to be work at the DMV. And so like I was very raised for that job security mindset, and anything with creativity is kind of just blasphemy, right? It was just like, no creativity whatsoever. You want to make sure that you're a machine. So that kind of, when I was growing up, I don't know if you know this, but I was adopted as a baby, and I had struggled with identity and value because I didn't know my real parents and I didn't know why they abandoned me, or I felt at least abandoned. But I grew up in a great home. I love my adopted parents. They absolutely loved me and gave me every single opportunity while I was growing up. But I still struggled inside with identity and value and finding that. So I felt that creativity, almost that rebellious spirit, in the skating community, was something I resonated with so much because it was an expression of how I felt inside. And with photography and with filmmaking, it was a tool for me to express what I felt inside, pausing time for a split second, with photography, and just holding on to those moments and looking back and be like, look what I created out of nothing, right? I started putting value on the things that I created, and found a lot of identity and creativity. And no matter what people said growing up to me, like, John, you'll never make it as a photographer. You'll never make it as a filmmaker. Your work stinks, like that. I didn't really care. I was like, I felt like it just brushed off me because I was like, I don't do it for that. This is my outlet. This is my way to express everything that I'm feeling inside because of dealing with those things. And as I grew older, I started learning how to hone in on those talents and skills that I learned. I went to film school for 6 years and art school at the Art Institute. Shout out. But I felt like I learned more through the social media boom, through MySpace when that blew up. I started learning. I was a very hands-on person. We didn't have YouTube back in the day. So I felt like, man, like what taught me was doing the thing, right? Mm-hmm. If I wanted to learn, I had to just jump in it full on, make mistakes. I learned HTML and coding in MySpace, and with that punk rock scene, like, Warped Tour and all that stuff, I had bands reaching out to me, local bands saying like, John, I know you're the only photographer I know. You're the only video person I know. You're the only one that does this MySpace thing. Can you help me out with my brand, right? Can you get me on Warp Tour? So I was able to get like tons of local bands on Warp Tour by decking out their MySpace page. And I learned from that, I took that into my career in marketing, and how important it is to have like a brand, right? And understanding that your first impression is really important, and the stuff that you put out there really important. So I had learned that at an early age, and I took that across, art school, and started working in the industry. That grew into, started doing directing for companies and brands like Capitol Records, Interscope Records, E Entertainment, and I took my career in that direction. And more people started reaching out as like I started doing more work, and then YouTube blew up, and I was like, what is this? Like, what's YouTube? I just go there to watch cat videos and chocolate rain and all that stuff, right? And it was so interesting to me because I'm like, oh, this is a community that is so deeply connected, and we as human beings, our desires to stay connected with people throughout the whole world. I remember growing up when I was younger, like pen pals was a thing, but now it's like social media has created a pen pal world, right? Where everyone could be connected. And the way to do that is through content. So fast forward after the failures, many failures I've had in business, and learning all from my mistakes, I'm here today, founder and CEO of a company called Executive Brand Growth, where really we focus on the personal brands of CEOs, not like doing all this, not just the strategy stuff, but the content implementation, the stuff that gets seen, the stuff that they just have no time, no energy, and really doesn't have time for, these CEOs and people that are trying to create impact in the world. They don't have time to make these TikTok videos and to get updated with all the social media platforms and all the nuances when it comes to getting discovered and having their content be searchable. So they reach out to me, and they reach out to my team. And that's, I know, in a long form, right, kind of way, that's kind of like it in a nutshell.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. You're definitely my people, man. You're like hitting all the things. You guys are listening to this on the audio version. You don't see the video. We literally dress the same. We got the white with the black with the white.
I'm like, I got the email this time, bro.
Yeah,
I got
the
it.
memo. We got the memo. The '90s Filipino kid memo
Yeah,
here. Yeah. So this is
definitely,
awesome.
definitely.
This is awesome. You're hitting all the like the keywords, man, that I grew up with. MySpace. I'm sure you know about APT 107.
Oh man, come
Man,
on.
Warp Tour. All of these
Yep.
things, man. So this is awesome, and I'm really curious about what you said about identity. And I
Mm,
didn't know you were adopted, man. I actually did not know
yeah,
that. So, I kind of think of this a lot, and I'd love for you to talk to me about identity and also the value of your name, right?
yeah,
We're given a name, but in many ways, we make a name for ourselves, right? So over the
yeah,
years, with all the things that's happening in our space, right? With
yeah.
content, social media, cancel culture, all these things, it's
Mm.
become do you think it's become easier or harder to build a personal brand? And then part two, what is the value of your name or people's name out there on the market? Because you clearly work with a lot of people that value their name, right? A lot of
Yeah,
CEOs and
absolutely.
leaders.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about that, the value of a name.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a two-part answer.
Hmm.
When it comes to if it's easier or if it's harder, I think it's easy in a way of the connectivity of social media and how easy it is to speak to a million people online, right?
Yeah.
Like it could happen overnight. Like we call them virality, right? The virality happens where your one video could change your life. That's what we always say at EBG. Like one piece of content can change your life. But it's harder internally, I believe. Like when you think of the struggle we have internally about wrestling with, like, well, somebody's already doing what I do. So my story is just the same. Like these people are doing it better. They look better on camera. We have all these struggles that really create a lot of tension. So in a way, it's really difficult to get over your thoughts and capture your thoughts and make them surrender to the idea of like this whole idea of your value is unique, and your person, right? Your story is not the same as everybody's. It might look like someone else's journey. You might resonate, and that's what camaraderie is, right? That's why like, communities are built because of the like-mindedness, right? I resonate with your story because it's kind of similar to mine. And the thing that stops us is our mindset of like, what someone else is doing, so I'm gonna let them just do it. If someone else just made that content, how many videos when one piece of tech comes out on YouTube, right? Like the new Sony camera, the new Canons, right? There's like 50,000 videos reviewing the camera, right? And you're like, right, it's crazy. And then you're like, what is my unique value prop when it comes to creating content? It's your story, and you gotta. And here's an exercise, right? You can just hold up your thumb and look at it, right? And when we look at our thumb, it's not one person on planet Earth has the same fingerprint, right? Not one person. And that blows my mind. It means that we've been designed for purpose, that we've been designed for uniqueness, that nobody could tell our story better than ourselves, and nobody could share the reason why we exist better than ourselves. Nobody could tell the reason why we built a company, or the reason why we do brand deals, or the reason why I go on Instagram or TikTok, the reason why I make videos. Nobody could tell that story better than you, because you're designed in a unique way. So that right there is valuable to the world. We need to hear your story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do truly believe too, as a believer myself, I think you're put through things so that you can share that story with the people that are like-minded. You're put through struggles so that you'll be used to help others that will go through those same struggles down the road, right?
Absolutely.
So, those stories are really important. And I think there's this threshold, John. I don't know if you find this with your clients, but I feel like there's a bit of a threshold where, people are willing to share up to a certain point. And it's like,
yes,
don't touch this. This is like, let's not, this is out of bounds, but I feel like those are the things that people connect with you on, right? So,
absolutely.
a lot of people are attracted to success, but they don't connect with you unless they know the struggle that they can relate to, that you've gone through.
Absolutely. I call this the bonding content, right? The bonding type of content, because a lot of our clients, as you would know, they want to have a certain perception online, right? They want to be in control of their personal brand. And they're like, a lot of them will come up to me, John, do I got to share everything? My family, my dog, my this, my that, like what I'm doing on the toilet? Like, no, like you don't got to do any of that, obviously. But what you want to do is create a bond between you and the person that's on the other side of the screen, or on the other side of the podcast, or on the other side of whatever. And that bond is camaraderie. That bond is finding something that you guys could connect on. And a lot of the times, the majority of people think that they're the only one that's gone through something. Right? Well, you don't know my story. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know how hard it was for me to even turn on the camera, or how hard it's been for my life and getting to this point. And, a lot of people also are on that threshold of like, I just feel like quitting. I just feel like quitting. But most of the time, when I've seen a lot of my clients share their personal stories, or their hero's journey, as I would like to call it. And storytelling too, I'm just going to say this: storytelling has a physical layer of, like this physical journey, and it also has this emotional beneath journey, this emotional journey. So I like to help my clients understand, like, the emotional journey is the ones you really want to focus on, because up top, everybody has this physical journey of what success looks like. I climbed the mountain, I went through these struggles, I had to get my way out of debt, and now I'm a millionaire. How many times have you heard that story, right?
The hero's journey, right? Yeah.
The hero's journey. But underneath that, there's a more emotional and personal journey that we go through that we don't feel comfortable sharing yet, right? Like, I really want to encourage, your listeners is to get really close to that emotional journey, and look and search within and be like, why do I care so much about not sharing this part of my life? Why do I care so much about, why is there a tension there when I start talking, when people ask me about that part, and I just don't feel like I want to talk about it? And let me just tell you, it might be a healthy tension, because you're still working it out, maybe. You know what I mean? So utilizing content, these are just tools. Let me tell you, social media is just a tool. It's
That's
a
it.
vehicle, right? It's just a vehicle to connect to other people. And to, if you're trying to look to grow your brand, your channel, whatever it is, the best way to do that is to connect with people on a personal level, because today's world, especially in the corporate world, they're realizing very quick B2B is dying out, right?
Right.
B2C, like corporations are dying because they haven't figured out that we live in an H to H world, which is human to human connection. Is actually like, I'm not buying from a corporation or a company or a brand. I'm buying because I know, like, and trust someone that represents the brand or has built a relationship with me. That's why I buy.
That's right.
Right. I'm not persuaded by a fancy, like, commercial that they spent $150,000 on
That's
and
right.
throw it up. They spent $1 million on the Super Bowl ad. You know what I mean? But that's not what connects. It's the person that introduced me to the brand,
Hmm.
or it's the person that's behind the brand that I connect with. And it's because they shared something that I bond with through
That's right.
content.
That's right. That's right. And really, videos is the best way to connect, right? It's the quickest way.
Absolutely.
Maybe not the
Yeah,
best way, but it's the quickest way because then you can
it is.
see there's multiple things that you're experiencing from that person. You're seeing their face, their
Yeah.
voice, their little
Yeah.
nuances. I
Yeah.
tend to talk with my hands. You kind of notice those things. A
Same
lot of
here.
those things, right? And
Yeah.
so I think that that's really powerful, and I love that even your brand, your company, that's what you guys all do. And then we're kind of
Yeah.
preaching to the choir here. Hopefully, that videos is the best way to do that. But I love what you said
Yeah.
there. H to H. Man, it's happening. Corporations and bigger, larger groups of and companies are starting to realize that. I feel like the startup world has been
Yeah.
sort of on top of that, just because they're a little bit more nimble and can move around a bit quicker.
Yeah. They got to
But
be scrappy,
you got to be
right?
scrappy. You got to be scrappy. You got that startup mentality. So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I love that. I love that. John, talk to me now. Let's shift a little bit. Talk to me about
Sure.
vision a little bit. You're a leader. I've
Yeah.
met a lot of leaders. You're working with a lot of leaders. One of the traits that I've seen all of them seem to have is vision. There's a lot of leaders that are visionaries. There's leaders that are more
Mhm.
strategic and more, execution, right? They take on like someone else's vision and executes on it. Now, this vision can come up from a lot of different places, a lot of different sources. So,
Yeah.
you being a man of faith yourself, I'm really curious, how do you
Yeah.
approach ideas, big ideas, visions that you're given? And how does, your faith and your upbringing
Yeah.
kind of play a
Yeah.
part in making those big power
Oh
moves?
man. I absolutely love this question because it
I'm
just
going deep,
speaks
man. I'm
right.
going deep with you today.
We're
So,
about to go deep, bro. No. Vision is so important to me, especially as a creative, because if you're a creative and you're listening to this, you probably don't have one idea that you're just like, oh, I'm so gung ho. You have a million of them. And they're not only a million ideas, they're like a million great ideas. In fact, you think every single idea might be $1 million idea, right? Some of you probably $1 billion idea. But the biggest differentiator is execution and planning, right? So that's like the biggest villain in this story, right? Is the planning and execution, the time that you put into it, the energy, the team. Maybe you're a solopreneur and you're like, I got big vision, got big vision. And it's been like a year, 2 years, pandemic happens, 3 years, 5 years, that turns into 10 years and you haven't moved. But you still have the vision, you still have the dream, but it got a little foggy along the way. The way my bank account works is, so like there's a lot of nuances when it comes to vision, and vision's great. Don't get me wrong. And I believe vision is definitely a spiritual thing too. That thing where it's different from a dream, right? A
mm,
dream is like, okay, maybe like one day, but vision is like, I have a clear, like, vision is all about sight, right? It's all about seeing. It's about clarity. It's about, all right, my vision. If my vision is unclear and it's foggy, I'm not going to have a great, I'm not going to be able to plan or communicate or execute that vision. I need clarity, right?
man,
So as
sorry.
a as a leader,
I gotta pause. You just said something
yeah,
that is so much. Vision is different than a dream. Is It's separate from a dream. That's a lot of people like kind of put the same. They're like sort of
right,
like same thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because like I could ask someone, right? So here's the difference. I could ask someone, "Hey, what's your dream?" They're like, "Oh, I want to be on American Idol." You know what I mean? Okay, cool. Let me rephrase that. What do you see, right? What's your vision? Well, I want to. share my story to millions of people. I want them to download my music. I want my music to mean something and impact people, right? I'm getting goosebumps. And like that's the difference, right? What do you see? What do you want to see? Right? And instead of like what's your dream? I want to be, I want to be a Jabberwocky. Um right? But what's your vision?
We all do.
I don't have a Jabberwocky body. That's the thing. I'm not coordinated like that. So my vision is, share as many videos on YouTube that have the Jabberwocky. So there's a difference, right? Vision needs clarity, vision needs planning, vision needs, communication. If you don't know how to communicate vision, it's going to be really difficult because vision is what takes a team to the other side. A dream is just this idea that's like, oh, that's great. That could happen, in 10 years.
It's more
You know what I mean?
abstract.
It's
Is
more
that correct?
abstract.
It's more abstract.
Absolutely. As a creative too, it's like, oh, I love, my wife would say, like, I'm the dreamer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like ground control. I'm the astronaut in outer space. And she's the one saying, hey, realistically, I don't know.
I don't
You know what I
know.
mean? So where we meet in the middle is vision. What's the vision for our
Mm,
family? What's the vision for our company? What's the vision for the next 5 years, right?
love
So
that.
where we meet in the middle of this dreamer and this realist, right? Is vision. And if you could put vision in the middle of it and start asking the right questions of like, what do I want? Right? What do I want to see? Those are the things that will actually get you going and motivate a team, right?
Mm, I love that.
So
I
that
love
that's
that.
that's the difference, I think.
I love that, man. You put that so clearly. I love that. I think vision is, yeah, exactly, clear, and whereas dreams are more abstract, but the dream almost inspires the vision in some way. So,
Absolutely.
no, I love that. I love that. Thanks, man. All right,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit. I've been stalking your Instagram feed. So much value, guys. I'm gonna link
Oh,
to your Instagram down below. You got a couple, two Instagram accounts. So your personal
yeah,
and also your company one.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'll link to
yeah,
those. But one of your posts said, "Never let someone who's done nothing tell you how to do everything." First of all, love that quote. Believe that in so many different aspects of life.
yeah,
I'm a huge believer of that. And so I'm a huge believer of also finding good mentors in life, right? All
yeah,
aspects of life too. So, not just your business or your career, but also, if you're married, your marriage, if your parents,
mhm,
mentor for your parents,
absolutely. Yeah,
knowing, parents sort of in the next station in life with your kids, right? So like right now we have a 7-year-old and 11-year-old. So we're very
oh wow,
connected with some parents that
yeah,
are have kids that are graduating high school. That's kind of like the next station. What is it
yeah,
like
yeah,
in that station? And kids with their kids in their early 20s and things like that. So, speak to me about some of the mentors in your life, and how
yeah.
you found them, because I think a lot of people don't know how to look for mentors.
You
Yeah,
really don't.
yeah, they don't.
Yeah,
And also tell me a little bit about how it shaped your life as well, man.
absolutely. I believe this, it's funny when I, we're people that are on social media a lot, and sometimes we see like, these Instagram people or influencers, they post all that stuff and they get tattoos that say self-made, right? I'm a self-made man, I'm self-made millionaire, I'm like, I just kind of like chuckle a little bit inside and be like, man, no one's
No one.
self-made, like nobody, because you've been influenced since the day you were born. Things
Hmm.
influence you, your mom, your dad, your relatives, your favorite TV show, your favorite artist. Like, you have so many influences in your life that you don't even know. If you stop to actually think, how what created me, John, right? What influenced me in my life? Like, we're wearing black and we're wearing hats and stuff, and I'm thinking like we probably listened to a lot of hip hop,
They
maybe
did.
Jay-Z, maybe NWA growing up.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And like the 90s typical
That's right.
Asian kid,
DMX,
um
all those guys.
DMX, all that stuff, bro. And like when I think about the influences in my life and mentors, you get to choose who you want to like, you don't, not sometimes people like, they're like, John, what do you mean I get to choose? Do I just go up to them and ask them to mentor me? It's like, no, you get to choose. You're the gatekeeper of who you listen to, of who
Who you
and
let
here's
in,
the,
right? Who you let in.
who you let in,
Yeah.
right? Just like what you watch on TV. That's the
Hmm.
eyes are the gatekeeper of our soul and what we feed our spirit and what we feed ourselves. So, I could even ask like, hey, show me what you're reading right now. Tell me what you're reading right now. I could tell you what this year looks like. Tell me who your friends are. I could tell you what your next 5 years will look like. I could tell you exactly what type of person you are, just knowing who you surround yourself by. And the thing for me is like growing up, I had a lot of mentors, especially being raised in ministry, raised in church, and also found mentors and teachers, growing up in school, like people that actually saw something in me that nobody else saw and was willing to walk me through it. And then I found my mentors in books and podcasts. Like, my favorite mentors don't even know they're mentors. You know what I mean?
That's it.
Like the Simon Sinek's of the world, the Seth Godins, right? The Gary V's, all those
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
All those people are mentors. You get to choose. And when I think of mentors, I'm like, okay, you're the gatekeeper. Who do you want to let in and speak to your life and shape your world and shape the lens that you see life through? Because that is so important. And a lot of people don't understand this, but they have a choice, right? And a lot of people live in the place of like, well, I just let things happen to me. Whatever happened, I just get dealt bad cards in life.
Mm.
I've been through every if Rob, if you just understood what I've been through,
Yeah.
and you would know why I can't be successful. I can't get out of my 9 to 5. I can't start this business. I can't create influence, and it's just really like excuses because we don't understand that we have a choice.
Yeah.
We could choose.
Mm-hmm.
And again, yes, of course, some of it's circumstances, but it's what was that quote of like, 10% is what happens to you in your life, 90% is how you handle or respond to
That's right.
those things that happen, right?
That's right.
Which is very, very true,
That's
right?
right.
And when it comes to mentors, you get to choose. You're the gatekeeper. You follow, hit a subscribe button on Rob's channel, and he could be your mentor for the next 6 weeks, next 6 months, next 6 years. You know what I mean?
I mean,
So
that's also a good point. Mentors. I think a lot of people take it too heavy because they think it's like for life, right? There's mentors
mhm,
for seasons too. So
yeah,
don't
absolutely.
feel like, oh, you're my mentor for life. And it's not this
Right.
awkward thing. I've learned that it doesn't have to be this. Hey, John, could you be my
Yeah.
mentor? Like
Hey,
you're asking somebody to
do
get
you want to be my
married.
mentor? Yeah,
you
but I
know.
do recommend having like a 360 approach, right? Like if
Mm-hmm.
where you want like business mentor, health mentor, fitness mentor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Family mentor. Where do you want to be, spiritually? So you're a spiritual mentor.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like finding all those pillars that you value in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and then finding intentional mentors in those places, whether they're people that you personally know or want to know, or maybe you pay for coaching or pay
Yep.
for mentors,
Yep.
or maybe you just have someone speak into your life and they don't even know your mentor, they're a
Mm-hmm.
mentor in your life.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend checking those places in life where do you want to be in the next year, where do you want to be in the next 5 years,
Right.
and then placing those mentors to help you get there,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. It's one of the best things you can do. It's one of the hardest too, John, I've found, is to
Yeah,
let people speak into your life. I think it's like a very
that's
humbling
hard.
thing to be vulnerable and say, like, here I am. Like, where can
Yeah,
I be better?
but yeah,
And
nobody likes to be,
we get defensive.
like, yeah, man,
Yeah.
totally.
So no, that's great, man. I love that. On the other side of things, again, on your Instagram, man, you said the best way to level up your game is to level up the team around you. So on the other side of the coin, John, I'm sure you're a mentor to a lot of people. Of course, your
Yeah,
team. So
yeah,
there's so much nugget there. But this applies to life, but also beyond
yeah,
business. So can you tell me some of the things that you've done to pour into the team members around you, not just the business team, but the life team, family,
yeah.
all the teams that you have in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love this question too, because like that's what we built this company on, at Executive Brand Growth is understanding that a lot of companies, especially corporate companies, they say they have like core values and they write out these fancy words. Oh, this is our mission, this is our vision, here are what we value. But if you ask an employee what they really value, they'd probably say something really different, right, than what they have said on their website or whatever, because it is the actions, it is the culture that they create that steers and directs the vision and the values of the company, especially like client facing. If the client was like, yeah, whatever they said about their vision, values, and all that stuff, no, it's not true. So some clients will feel like that's just not true, but it really starts with the top, right? So what I've done, first of all, I'm not the smartest person on my team. I have a core team. There's like people on my team that have master's degrees. I don't even have, I don't think I have a degree, but what I've done though, going back to the vision thing, is like I feel like I had a God-given vision
Mhm.
and purpose on this planet, and a mission to accomplish, and an assignment to be on every season. Right.
Mhm.
So what I do with my team is making sure that we're in proximity. And that's the
Mm.
biggest thing when you lead a team, when you are trying to paint vision, when you're trying to rally people, and this is the biggest thing too, where companies actually have turn and burn rates, for employees, like every 2 years or every 3 years, they're always burning employees out, or like everyone's, they leave their job. I could guarantee you, no matter, we could debate about this, and I have in the past, but it's about proximity.
Mhm.
And it all boils down to proximity, meaning like proximity to the vision, proximity to the leaders or the people that are on your team. Proximity for us is everything, and that's kind of hard to say after the year that we've had last year,
Right.
right? Proximity, what do you mean? Like more like being in person? It's like no, no, no. Like that, yes, because there is something magical that happens when we're in person, right? Some sort of creative tissue, creative atmosphere that happens when we could all be in one place. But proximity meaning, are you intentional about spending time and sharing your vision, sharing your thoughts, but also listening to your teammates, and having proximity to them and understanding what their goals are, what do they value the most, and integrating that, and just listening is like one of the biggest things as a leader that we could do, because as a leader, a lot of us just want to, just do this. We just want to just talk. We just want to just, oh, I'm the thought leader in this. I'm the leader of this company. I'm the whatever it is, put it however you see it. But at the end of the day, if we're really rallying around the idea of human to human impact, human to human,
Yeah.
that means that we should, there's a reason why we have two ears and one mouth,
That's right.
right?
That's
There's
right.
just, there's a reason. And again, the thing that I've seen to level up your team is to really listen more
Mhm.
and talk less.
I love that.
So
I love that. I love that. Man, dude, proximity, that's such a good word, man. Proximity. It is, it has been difficult, of course, because, we've been remote. We've been learning to do this WFH, work from home thing over the last year and a
yeah,
half. But
yeah,
I think, even though we are remote, because I think that's going to be the way of the world for a long time now moving
yep,
forward, people
yeah.
have,
Hybrid workforce, yeah.
hey, yeah, exactly. Like people have realized, like, hey, I can do a lot more from home, and like,
We
companies
could
and
do it.
employ.
It proves something. We
It
could do this
proves,
from Hawaii.
yeah,
So let's go.
yeah. Let's go, let's go. I think it's gonna make happier employees too. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but I think the intention is kind of where you're saying is like the heart of a
Yes.
leader to be interested and caring for their employees, to be in
Yeah.
proximity with them. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be geographic proximity. It's just
Yeah.
this like relationship proximity.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard this quote just the other day. Funny enough that you said it is, if you want to be interesting, you need to be interested,
That's right.
right? If you want to be interesting and being like have an interesting character or like persona, you gotta be interested
Hmm.
in people and what makes them tick, what's their biggest fears, what's
That's
their
right.
biggest, what excites them. It's all about like literally listening to people and understanding that that they're human and that you're
Hmm.
human, and we're designed for this community and to build relationships. And if we can live from that, and understand that, people sometimes they just have a bad day. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? They don't wake up every day thinking, oh, how am I going to ruin, this company, or like, ruin someone's life. they
Yeah.
they wake up asking themselves, how can I be happy today? So
Right.
in that decision making, they always, tend to lean towards what they're going to be happy with. So if we can, as leaders, just lean in a little bit and be interested
Hmm.
and just listen, we're going to change the relationship. And not only that, but the work ethic too. When
Yep.
someone actually believes that you're for them, that you hear them, that you see them and understand them, I've never seen anyone just run from that and be like, I'm gonna work less for this guy or this
Right.
person or this female, you know. In fact, it's the opposite. I want to work harder. I want to be more intentional. I want to give my all because they actually listen to me, you know. So it's very important to me that I spend one-on-one time with every single person in our company, no matter if they're an intern or if they're, you know, overseas. I intentionally spend time and I listen.
That's it, man. That's it. It's so good. Yeah, showing interest, man. For me, it's kind of funny because there's this thing about me when I meet people. I'm not a talkative guy. I'm an extrovert. I love people, but I'm not the
No
guy.
way, bro.
I'm not gonna steal the mic. In conversations, I'm not gonna overtake the conversations. I'm not gonna be the dominant, speaker. But what I have learned, even from a young age, John, is just
Yeah,
to ask questions. It's like, okay,
yeah,
cool. Like, tell me more about that. Oh, really? What happened then? What happened
yeah.
next? These
So
kind of
good.
questions. And I'm generally interested in people. I love stories. I love, like, I love doing these because I get to hear people's stories and I learn
Yeah,
from them, and people then come back. It kind of circles back to me like, hey, that's so and so. They really think that, like, you're so easy to talk to. It's just like,
yeah.
and you get
Oh,
information that,
mhm.
they don't normally share. It's kind of like,
Yeah,
how did we
absolutely.
get here?
Bro, honestly, like, you have a gift, you know, and it's rare in a lot of people to just sit and ask questions, and that's the likability factor of who you are as a person,
Mhm.
right? And people could feel more open and they share with you these things because they feel comfortable. You make them feel at home. You make them feel, and that's really important as a brand too. So if you know you're a brand that is a likable brand, more people will would open their wallets or even just hit a like button or comment because
Yeah.
you're likable, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
There's no rush to be the first to speak, I think. There's always
yeah,
room. There's
absolutely.
always room. Wait it out and then
Always.
you get everyone else's take and then you can just crush it with,
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
else that you've
Also like a
gathered.
little mystery behind that, you know, people are just curious. What do you gotta say,
Yeah,
Rob?
yeah,
What do you
yeah.
gotta say? I want to hear from
Yeah, what do you got to
Rob,
say, John?
you know?
Yeah, no, I love that, man. I love that. All right, let's talk a little bit about balance because you have a thriving business. Clearly, if you guys check out John's,
Oof.
Instagram, his website is just packed with like testimonials. But you also have this really beautiful family, man. Congratulations! I saw
Thank you so
your
much.
baby just started walking.
Oh
It's
my
just like,
gosh.
man,
It's
such a
incredible.
precious time in life, man. So
I know.
you have this life outside of the business that we get to
Yeah,
see. We get a little peek into it. I'm sure you have some ministry things happening as well, and then all the
absolutely.
things
Yeah.
in between. So, what's your secret when it comes to balancing all of these things well?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I have a secret. I just feel like, man, experience, like I don't even consider myself an expert, but I consider myself someone that has experience. And what's been working for me, especially lately, and I've learned this from my chief brand strategist, DJ. Which by the way, he's one of the guys that has a master's degree and he's a certified family therapist. So I get my therapist for free. No. But he said it very well, and you know, I personally just don't believe that work-life balance exists. I think it's a facade, right? Because once you find balance, you'll get off balance, and now everything's a mess. You know, like once you find the balance in your life, something goes wrong, or something ends up, or you're waiting for something to go wrong, so you're on edge, and you feel anxious, and you live with like, I just got my balance together. You know, how many people, or even yourself, like how many times, like, oh, I just figured it out. I just had a great, and then all of a sudden something happens, you know, like I got to take the car to get repaired. I got laid off from my job or something happens, a pandemic, right? Like who thought that was coming? Nobody.
Nobody.
Um, so I believe that work-life balance, although it's a great thing to kind of like make believe and think that there is, I don't think it exists. But what I do think exists, which is from my guy DJ, is work-life boundaries.
Mm.
And that's different, right? When you have
Man, that's
work-life
good.
boundaries, like the must do things, the must, like the necessary things in life, and what aren't essentials, like essentials and non-essentials, right? In your life. And you're creating now boundaries. So like with family, that's a boundary to me, right? When I family comes first, right? And anything that is taken away from my time with my family, that's a boundary I like to create, a perimeter, and be like, no, I'm just not going to do it. Yeah, I got an important call and you're going to close a really big deal. Yeah, but it's, you know, I got dinner with family. I just can't do it. Someone else that I pay a lot of money for needs to take that call instead of me. You know what I mean? Because
Love
yeah,
that.
it's just understanding work life boundaries. Now you could place parameters, and those margins are a lot bigger to are a lot wider, so that you can function, right, and
Hmm.
figure out, okay, this is where ministry comes in, okay, this is where family comes in, okay,
Hmm.
this is my the work time, and this is how much time I'm going to be spending in my energy on thinking about work. And
Hmm.
you've now put parameters and boundaries with those things, instead of trying to like balance everything and be like, all right, so equal time here, equal. No, doesn't
So
it
good.
doesn't work.
So good, dude. I love that. Yeah, there's also the I mean, I'm glad that you called that out, that there's no such thing as work-life balance. The sooner they I mean, I've heard that before too, man. I just remember that
Mhm.
now, and I'm glad that you brought that up cuz you know, me and my wife, for example, there's always seasons too. There's seasons of
Yeah,
like, all right,
absolutely.
hey, we're gonna be going into this season where I'm gonna
Yeah,
be like working a lot. You know, there's an
yeah,
opportunity
yeah.
here. You guys, it will be fine. We are gonna have,
Let me tell you,
our
man.
family time. We're gonna have
Yeah,
me and you time. But as a
yeah,
team, like, understand that I'm gonna be really like heads down
yeah,
here a lot more
yeah.
than usual.
I'm
Then
so
this
glad you said that, bro.
seasons may
Like,
shift, right? Your
yeah.
wife, your husband may then take the reins, like, okay, they're going to be working a
Mhm.
little bit more. There's a project, there's something, kids are going to grow up, all right, things are going
Yeah,
to be different.
yeah.
Dude, work like school year versus summer,
Oh,
that's just such a shift
it's
of
a whole
like
different thing,
work life, shift,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah. I love
yeah.
that you mentioned that, bro, because a lot of people don't talk about this, especially if they're entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, or they're content creators. They're trying to use YouTube to build their business. They don't really talk about the sacrifices and stuff that we go through, as building a business or all that stuff, right? So like we're in a place in our company where I had to spend a lot of time traveling these past couple months, and a lot of events I had to show face at. I had a lot of some of our team was flying into town and stuff like that, and my schedule just looks so packed. So like my wife is just a superhero, bro. Like she is just incredible. I'm like, wow, like God, you gave me a good one. This is amazing. She's like, honey, this is the season that we're in. You're building the company, and you need this time. And and we're also, by the way, expecting our second baby,
Oh
right? And
man,
I know,
congratulations.
right?
It's the
Yeah,
baby
thank you.
machine, man.
Baby machine, COVID was good to us. No,
Congratulations, dude.
but thank you. But thinking about that, I'm like, wow, she's like understanding the season that I'm in and we're in as a family, and where we want to get to as a family, and said, you know what, honey, like, let me just spend time with the family so you could focus on building this for us.
Hmm.
And it takes someone of strength to say, like, oh, you're gonna allow me to just stay, like, go to Vegas and spend time with the team and be in these meetings and events and all kinds of things, and separating our time together, knowing that's like, man, I've never spent a day without my wife, without my
Hmm.
kid. And her to understand, like, okay, if we're going to live like no one else in the future, we need to live like no one else. So like nobody else would make these decisions that we make in this season. So understanding the season that we're in, a lot of people are like, you're a terrible father to do that, or you're a terrible husband. Why would you let her do that? It's like, well, they just don't know the assignment that God put on us and on
Hmm.
myself, because it's not their vision or their assignment,
Yeah.
right? Their assignment's different. God designed them to do something different. But
Hmm.
when it comes down to it, you have God's given you a vision, an assignment that you got to complete, and He's talking to you directly. And He's not saying, when you're at the end of the day, you can't point fingers to anybody else. You're like, how are you going to lead your family? How
Hmm.
are you going to lead your business? How are you going to lead your life? Are you going to obey and be a good steward of that?
Right.
Or are you going to just follow everybody else and what they say, and get peer pressured into just be like, you know what, just a mediocre life is what I'm okay with, okay, you know?
Yeah.
Or are you just gonna be like, you know what, I'm not okay with being okay? Like, I know my mission and calling is bigger than myself.
Hmm.
And at our company at EBG, we use the words generational generosity.
Hmm.
Generational generosity is one of our value that we value. That means that, yeah, everybody's on this generational wealth. You got to create generational wealth. That's more of a like, oh, I want wealth for many generations. But if we could teach our kids to live a generous life for generations, that
Hmm.
means whether you're rich or poor, wealthy or not, you're gonna have generosity built in you,
Yeah.
and you're gonna find a way to just be a vehicle to
Yeah.
give and create impact with your time, treasure, and talent.
That's it, man. That's it. Being generous is not for other people, man. It's for you. I believe that, right? Like,
Yeah,
it's like to take away the greed in your heart,
yeah,
with your
yeah.
money, with your time, resources, all those things. So, dude, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And also, like, let's talk a little bit, a little bit about that boundary. I love that work-life
Mhm.
boundary, guys.
Yeah,
Like, you gotta take note of that. Like for me, like we try to practice, Sabbath on Saturdays, right? Like, there's
yeah.
absolutely no work, no social
Mhm.
media, like work wise, on Saturdays. If you see a post, that's because it was scheduled on like Hootsuite or something. But
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
there's nothing, because I think that is really important. If you're not married,
Yeah,
then whatever you want to call it, but there's got to
yeah,
be, it doesn't have to be family time. It's just got to be time away
yeah,
from work, man. To
yeah.
kind of
And
learn
you
to
gotta
trust
protect
that
the
like
peace.
the world will
Protect,
continue to revolve even if you're not
yeah.
working.
And I think that's the biggest struggle too with a lot of people. They think that they are the end all be all. Like, I need to do this, I must do this, or else something's gonna catch on fire, or something's gonna, dramatically happen. It's like, no, at the end of the day, like it's due to poor planning, first of all.
Mhm.
Um, and second of all, like it's okay. Like you gotta protect your peace and protect your time and protect it like it because at the end of the day, we're not promised tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, like, and the thing in my life, and we haven't gone into this, but I grew up like having witnessed a lot of deaths in my life, like friends that have died, like, family members that died. I think at the end of the day, when you face death face to face and understanding, you know, that this life is temporary, you
Mhm.
start having a different outlook in life. You're like,
That's
wait a
right.
minute, tomorrow is not promised. Today I'm gonna carve out time to spend time with family because that's what matters to me.
Hmm.
All right, I'm gonna spend time focusing on the business because I'm responsible for feeding people.
Right.
Right? I'm gonna spend time with, you know what I mean? So you start figuring out what are the things in life that actually matters, what are the essentials and what are the non-essentials,
Hmm.
and carving out that Sabbath, that Saturday or whatever day it
Whatever day
is,
that is.
to be like, hey, this is to protect that because I'm not promised tomorrow.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. And there's so many reasons for it, John. Like, there's, man, being in the YouTube world, content creators, all these, man, burnout is a real thing, you
It
know.
is.
And if
It
you're
is.
trying to be this person that's like, man, I gotta keep up, gotta keep up. There's always somebody else, man. They're uploading every
Mhm.
day. They're uploading. They're doing live streams every week.
Yeah.
You're gonna keep chasing, and you're gonna burn out, man. You're not
That's
gonna
hard,
last. You're
man.
not gonna. You're not gonna
Yeah.
last the race. So,
Yeah. It's
you
a
know,
marathon, man. Like I
it's a
remember when I
marathon.
first started creativity, bro. Like I think the first thing that I had to realize that my teacher in college taught me in art school, he was like, John, I need you to listen to this and listen to what I'm gonna say because you're working so hard. You're not sleeping for 3 days straight working on projects. And I was like, well, I just want to be the best. I just want to be the best. He's like, John, someone is always going to be better than you.
That's right.
Let that sink in. Let it
Yeah.
sink in. Someone's always gonna put more content out than you. Someone's gonna know lighting better than you. Someone's gonna, have a better eye and creativity than you.
Hmm.
Someone's gonna have a better process than you.
That's right.
So who are you really who are you really facing? Like who is your really biggest challenge? And it is all about yourself.
That's right.
You're challenging yourself. You're that's who's your competition.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, man. Very important. Very important. And that's why everybody should just hire you, because then you'll take care of all the content.
There you go.
Make one long form video. You
Yeah,
guys, you
we
got to
got
check
you.
out this one reel. I was just telling John, I've been sharing this reel like since I saw it yesterday. John broke down the whole map, and it's just so easy from like creating one piece of content and going, all over the place. So, super sidetracked there. But
Oh man,
John,
thanks.
this has been dope, man. I appreciate your time. Appreciate what you're doing out there for the community. I love watching all your content, seeing your family. What's a
Oh,
word
thanks.
of encouragement that you could leave with our friends out there that's tuning in to this interview?
Yeah, man, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I feel like in this moment, I feel like a lot of people are trying to get somewhere fast, and that does cause burnout, and that causes stress, anxiety, mental health. especially like where everything is in this world, like, like, oh, I just got to make more TikToks. I got to make more money. I got to get more views, more likes, more followers, more. And it's just, I think the word is just like to breathe, and just to just take one moment to think about the things that actually matter, and instead of, again, like I think we have a problem where we're always, for me, I was in a stage where I was just dreaming and dreaming and thinking, and I would overthink, and I would overthink about stuff, over dream, and actually never got the stuff done. I never actually put a plan together to get it done. And my biggest thing is maybe a word is to plan. um because when you breathe and when you could sit down and you take out a sheet of paper and you write down what the plan is, you have clarity and your vision gets a lot clearer. What's the plan for tomorrow? What is the plan for this week? What is the plan for this month? Financially, mentally, physically, spiritually, what's your health goals? What are you trying to do this week? And I think it's all in the practical and tactical stuff that makes greatness happen and success happen, not in this lofty idea of like, I'm going to get to 1,000 followers, I'm going to get to 100,000 followers. That's like a dream, but the vision and the goal is in the practicality of the day to day. So if you could sit down and take out a sheet of paper and clear your mind and be like, what is my plan? Right. And this is exercises that we do with our clients, is like, hey, what's your plan? Like, plan, I need to get to 100 downloads or X and Y. It's like, that's a goal, that's a dream, but what's your plan to get there? How do you do it?
Yeah. How are
Right.
you going to get
And
there?
how are you going to get there? And if you planned, like, a lot of people like, I upload like 3 contents a day. I'm like, okay, so 3 pieces of content a day, how much is that making you ROI? And are you able to hire someone overseas, or maybe a friend or an intern, to take on the load that you don't need to be taking on, so you could actually have more capacity, right? And not get burned out.
Right.
So that's part of the planning stage. Like, how do I, okay, how many followers do I need to start hiring people? Right? How much money do I need to make a month to start actually making my first hire?
Right.
That's part of the plan. So sit down, plan, take a breath, plan, and it's all going to be okay.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, planning is key, or else you're just kind of hoping,
Yeah.
I hope it
Hoping,
works.
wishing, praying.
Yeah, I hope it works. I hope this one really
Yeah.
hits this time. Yeah, no, I love
Yeah.
that, man. Planning is key. Awesome. John, where can people reach you? Where can people connect with you, learn more about your company and what you can do for all of these leaders out there?
Absolutely, bro. John Mediana, all across the board. Media is in my name, so Mediana. Born with it, and it's so funny because like my blood type is B positive. I feel like God was playing a prank on me. He's like, John, just be positive. It's in your blood. And I'm like, oh, geez, God, you got me. But John Mediana everywhere, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere. And then our company is called Executive Brand Growth at executivebrandgrowth.com. We focus on, consulting, but also the content implementation. We're the world's finest content implementation partner you'll ever have. If you run a company, a business, or, you just want to be part of our community, we got you.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. It means a whole lot to me. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can catch more content like this one from my channel. And also, please say hello in the comments. I love seeing comments and connecting with all of you. Don't forget to check the description for all the links to John's channel, social handles, all the websites, and other things that we have going on. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.